What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? We are back with another episode of Quality Time with Uncle Drew, and I got a very special guest here, a good friend of mine, Justin Anderson. Went to high school together, went to middle school together, been friends for over we knocking on 20 years, bro. We right about 20 years, a little bit over 20 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Oh man. But one of my good friends, he's a awesome husband, an awesome dad, an avid lover of football, whether you're talking about NFL or college football. And so we're just gonna take some time to talk, to catch up, and to hit on this Super Bowl that's coming up with the Kansas City Chiefs trying to three-peat. So outside of that, man, I always like to check in with people. How are you?
I'm good, man. Staying busy, trying to stay present and with the kids, with work, with the wife, family. You got a house, something always broken. Kids always got a problem. Something always costs money, but it's not. You don't really complain about it. They're actually blessings. It's stuff you look for. So everything been good, man. I can't complain really.
No, that's
Tired like everybody else, but I can't complain.
I mean, the year just started and you tired already?
Already. That's because I ain't no teacher, so I don't get summers off. I don't get summer vacations. I don't get regular things. It just
Yeah,
keep going for me. My clock keep turning.
I got you. And so you got two girls, one boy as far as that's
hmm
umbrella education. One boy as far as children go. What are the ages?
9, 7, 2.5. This year they all about to be 10, 8, and 3.
Ooh, I'm still praying for you, bro. I got you. And but before we hopped on this call, it's funny for me to sit on this side of things. Like I said, we've known each other since middle school, and so seeing you helping your children with their homework, I'm over here cringing. Like, yeah, I don't think I'll be. I don't. That's gonna be a no for me, dog. Uh, talk talk about the new age way they be doing stuff. Like they do stuff a lot different than when we grew up, right?
Yeah, and it's dumb too. It be some of the stuff be dumb. Like the way they do certain things with math or certain things with their reading, the way they teach reading, really good. The way they teach writing, really good. Like it's way different from what we learn. And they break down things. And my daughter knows syllables and blended letters and blended words. They know all these things in which like we didn't learn till late. It was just more for us, it was like memorization. Like you sound out words when they get big. Outside of that, you should look at the word the and know that's the. Like it's same with multiplication, right? You from the ones to the 12s, it was memory. Then they kind of teach them how to break it down and stuff. But it's like Jordan's in third grade doing fractions right now. So it's like I gotta, brush the dust off my head when she started bringing fractions up to me, and I'm like, hold on.
I'm gonna just let you know fractions. I took math 111 3 times in college. Math was never my strong suit, but definitely fractions. I can't mess with multiplying fractions, dividing fractions. You
And
start doing that
that's what
stuff.
she doing. She already multiplying fractions in fourth grade right now. So
Oh
it's
man,
like I'm like, man, like, and that's the worst part for me. Like math was my favorite subject, but fractions is a beast for anybody.
yeah. You ain't have Rochelo.
Yeah, I had Rochelo for like 3 years.
So Mr. Rochelo was our math teacher in high school. Was he at MLK and then he went to
He was, but then he went over to Montbello. I didn't have him when he was at MLK though.
Okay, so he was our middle school math teacher, and then when we went to high school, became the high school math teacher at the high school in the next city over, and he would drink coffee all day, and nobody liked asking him for help on their homework or their problems because he was gonna come over there with that coffee breath, and you didn't want them problems.
Lean right over your shoulder and just be breathing it all in your face.
But I'm not gonna lie, I was never smart enough to be in math, so for me, I was good. But outside of that, man, like I said, known each other since middle school, played football, played football growing up in high school in Montbello High School in Denver, Colorado. You did football, you did track. But the thing that's funny, the thing I remember most about you, bro, I remember you was a chubby little kid, little chubby kid.
So
And I
what?
remember and I remember we would and I remember we would talk or we would be talking or whatever. And I remember when you said like you didn't start playing, you did your first time playing organized football was in high school,
Yeah.
and it was so funny. Like I said, you was that chubby dude, and all of a sudden one day you came back to school and you knew how to dance, and I was like. I said, how do you learn how to dance? He was a little bit slimmer too. You were slimmer. I'm like, well, how you learn how to dance, bro? You been taking summer courses or something like that? He say, nah, man. I just been in the basement working out, dancing, and my dad told me I could become a. So I just laugh because that's the thing. Like even when I think about it till this day, for some reason I was like, this dude just disappeared on us for about 3-4 months and came back and knew how to dance like out of nowhere. So I always thought that was fishy, bro.
I forgot all about that. Oh snap! Yeah, man. My dad showed me this video. I think it was in Jerry Rice. It was like Antonio Freeman,
Uh,
and he was like, you know, like it was showing Antonio Freeman doing like yoga classes or dance classes because balance is key in dancing. So he was like, you know, the best athletes in the world, they can dance and they don't even know it because their whole they're all centered around balance and controlling your body. So once he told me that, that's what I was doing. I was working out and I was dancing. I came back. I lost what? I want to say when we came in freshman year, it's funny because I remember coming in and Coach Lucas was like, you know, what position you want to play? And I said receiver. And he kind of giggled because I was big. And he was like, all right, if your position you want to play, you need to earn it. You know, lose the weight and get in shape. That's all he had to say, right? And as soon as he did that, it was that summer when we came back into sophomore year. I went from 225 and I came in at 160. That's when I slimmed down, lost all that weight. It was that freshman coming into freshman year, we running around with A-Dub, losing all the weight. That's when I
wait,
lost.
you was 225.
Oh yeah, I was 225 eighth grade. And then that's when we was all meeting up over the summer and doing all that stuff. Coming in the ninth grade, I came in at 157, 160.
So I knew you was chubby. I didn't know you was obese. So my bad. I didn't even give you enough credit for what the weight you had.
Uh,
But yeah, bro, I didn't know it was like that, and so I didn't know that Coach Lucas story either. And Coach Oliver Lucas is our high school football coach. He got there pretty much our summer going into freshman year of high school. He used to work up at CU Boulder. He was on their coaching staff for their national championship team in the late '80s, early '90s. And at our school, we always had athletes at Montbello. We always had some very good people. Always had some very good guys and girls track team. You knew we was going to be there in the 4x1 and the relays. You knew we was going to have some sprinters. And so you did football and you did track. I did football, I did baseball because I wasn't feeling track. And you also got faster doing track. Like I from
yeah.
high school on to college too. Like you were one that ended up blazing. Can you talk about the commonality in football and track? You know, you got all these guys out here these days, or these younger people, and you know they start doing one sport and they stick around one sport. How did doing two sports such as football and track help you on the field?
I think being a two sport athlete is a must, especially nowadays. Like it's a it's one thing to be a tactician and a specialist in what you do, and it's another thing to learn how to use your body in a different way because then you can blend those things and you can use them in different facets. Like me, when I started running for Coach Gatewood, um, the very first thing he saw is that like I had a crazy good amount of endurance. So even though I wanted to be a sprinter, he goes, in order to build me into that, he threw me into the 400. He threw me into the 800. He threw me into the 4x4, right? And I had to earn my way down into the faster sprints, which is why I got faster and faster under his coaching. But I learned how to use my body and in a different way than football, right? So instead of just running go routes and getting shifty and doing things like that, I learned how to turn it on and turn it off or maintain, you know, when I need to to then kick it afterwards, to learn how to use your gears and to learn how to do those things. I think it's super important. I make my kids do it now. Like they started off playing basketball, and then we tried them in soccer. Jordan and Layla love soccer now, but in between those seasons, they're gonna be running track, or they're gonna be doing volleyball. They'll be doing something else just to be able to, be that all around individual.
Thank you for that. And it's funny, thank you for even jumping into that because that's the next thing I want to talk about. So being a father with your kids, seeing how sports are these days where people are specializing earlier and earlier. We were talking a couple weeks ago and you said like, other parents were asking you like, what training have you been doing with your kids? Or they ask you some question and you're like,
Yeah.
because they seem like they're so far ahead of the other kids, I guess you can say. What do you attribute that to? I know a little bit of that's genes. I know you and Jaquette are blessed, so y'all pass those genes down. But for other parents to look at your kids and see that they're so far ahead, like, what's the secret or what's the key for you?
For me, I think it's their work ethic. It's like teaching them work ethic, teaching them that no matter what we do, it's going to be hard. And in order to get to the fun and to the good stuff, you got to get through the hard first. So practice sucks. Working out sucks. But the result of it, when you playing in the game and you scoring goals and you get to cheer, you get to celebrate, that's when the fun kicks in. So understanding that not everything has to be fun. And in real life, everything is not fun. Getting to your goal sucks. It's a hard road to travel. Getting to where you want to be sucks. But when you're there, you finally get to celebrate, finally get to happy. So I make sure the girls know that. Like when we're outside, the stuff that I do with them is just it's basics. Like I feel like footwork is key in no matter what sport you do, right? You got to learn how to control your feet and your body. So they'll be on ladder drills all the time, cone drills all the time. I'm not doing nothing special, and I'm out there doing it with them, right? Ladders and cone drills. Let's go. Let's learn how to control our body and move. And then you see it translate into the games when they're playing. See, even now we got these like travel teams coming over trying to talk to me quite about getting Jordan and Layla to go play on their teams. And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like right now, the love of the sport is what motivates them to be able to provide for their team, to do what they need to do, to score the goals, to play the defense they want to play. It motivates them. So I want them to have the love of the sport to continue motivating. I don't want to turn it into a business or turn it into something that it's not. I want them to be kids as long as they can be kids and just learn like we can do fun stuff. Like we can go out here, kick some goals, jump over the cones, run around, fall, get up, keep doing it again. And they don't even realize like what you're working on and what you're doing, you know?
Secretly training them.
Yeah.
And you also brought up another good point because right when you enter that club atmosphere, and we didn't really have to deal with it. I played on a club baseball team, I think in middle school, but that was like in the summertime. But once you start getting involved with club, like you see that that's real money. That's parents putting their money up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little bit weird because you got a team that got an A team, a B team, a C team, and sometimes it depends on whose parents got this money or who's who. Like, and so you see people lose the love of the sport, or kids, you'll see them lose that love for sport or love playing earlier based on if they get in all this competition based stuff earlier. And that's my opinion from what I've seen. And so, with you looking at that, I love how you're keeping them. You're like, no, let's have some fun with this for as long as we can, because that's the same thing I told my college athletes. Like they're so ready to go to the NFL, and now it's different. I will say NIL and all that stuff now is different,
Yeah. That's a
but
different ballgame, man.
but I'm also like it's not promised. So like, why you want to forego? You want to get into college, get out of college as quick as you can. There ain't no, you can't go up to the 24-hour fitness and run no 7-on-7. You can't run no 11-on-11 inside run. Let's do 7-on-7 over here. Let's get the one-on-ones. Like there is none of that. And there's starting to be more, but you go from NFL to maybe Canada to after that, now there's flag and stuff where you're talking 37U, which I do not recommend for anybody that is trying that is trying to keep their health and their life intact.
I'm not playing no sport in which I gotta use my own insurance, dog.
I was like, y'all out here playing like this, and y'all got work on Monday. Y'all wilding.
Exactly. Nah.
But with saying that, I try to tell people play. The goal should be to play as long as you can. And with money getting into sports now, you got parents. I think more than anything, you got parents' eyes on dollar signs rather than just the kids. And the
Oh,
parents
absolutely.
and I think the even crazier part is like when you start talking about the percentages of who's going to make it to even college and be able to play in college, the percentages are real small. But everybody's operating like this is his meal ticket at the age of 8 or 10. And you're like, you haven't even seen the real competition that he's about to go up against yet, or
Hmm.
he or she. And so that's just me being on my soapbox about the whole sports situation. But you're in it and you see it in real time. How much do you think you being an athlete and you playing in college helps you guide your kids and what they're doing and kind of helping them not make that rush to do something too quickly, but being able to know when we go hard and when it's I don't even know what I'm trying to say honestly. You playing sports and what you did and how you did it, how does that help or influence the way you're guiding your kids?
I think it's everything. I think that's the only reason why I think the way I think, right? Because and we came from a different era, right? We don't have like when you got a concussion, it's shake that shit off, bro. We got to get up. How many fingers am I holding up? And your teammates behind you whispering in your ear too. You tell the trainer that too. He be like, "Yep, get him back in the game." Right? You get in the game, you still seeing 60 people in the field, like so. Like we played differently, and then it was also like a sign of weakness. Like injuries were a sign of weakness, so it was like just brush it off, and you see everybody's limping, everybody got something broke, everybody got something strained. So like the amount of sacrifice that we put in, it it's good in a sense of I know how to direct my children
Yeah.
now to be like, yes, you have to sacrifice for what you love. You have to grind for what you love. You got to put in the work. But there's a level in which you need to do it. There's a level in which you need to protect yourself because at the end of the day, this coach may want to win, this coach may want to get his stats up and do whatever, but that's at the sacrifice of your body. So you got to understand that too. So as long as you love it and you want to do it, then we got to put in this certain work. But we ought to also need to step back and be like, yo, my head ain't right or my body's not right. And that's not being a little weenie, like, oh, I stubbed my toe, strain, whatever, and I'm sitting out. We ain't doing all that. But I mean, like, you got to know the difference between being hurt and being injured, right? Like they always say. And if we injured, we need to step back and take care of something.
Mm. I like how you said that. It's funny. I was just about to hit on that. We've probably had, I'm pretty sure Coach Lucas said in high school, but he's like, are you hurt or are you injured? And we've heard that up to college, and I've heard that, and you've heard that up to levels higher than college. And when I'm talking to young men or young student athletes, and I'm like, they're asking about the NFL, and I'm like, man, the even college, I said the only day you're 100% is that, or even close to 100% is that first day of training camp or fall camp. After that, you're operating at okay, this is about 95%. Okay, this is my 80%. Okay, this is about 76%. But depending on what you've done, you're like, yo, I had a sprained ankle I was playing on. And I never got back to probably 90 or 85% that year. But once I was like, I've been at 50. So now when I feel
Yeah.
75, I'm like, oh, I feel good.
Oh,
Like
I
we
feel good.
we good. We back in here today. And that's one of the hardest things, man, trying to realize when you can go because if we're being honest, like if you're starting, you're also like, I know that position's not promised. Like
You want to
if
lose that
if
spot.
if that dude goes in there and he balls, then I'm sitting here maybe waiting for him to get hurt or something to happen to him to get my spot back. And so you deal with that dichotomy. As you get older, it becomes more prevalent, but
Yep.
you're over here like, all right, like how you have to ask yourself, how injured am I? Is it serious? Do I need to get a second opinion? Like, and we all know like there's limits we can push ourselves to, but I feel more so these days that it's you think about your longevity a little bit more. You think about if you're going to get that opportunity to play at the next level, why destroy my ankle or my knee or my shoulder right here when I still have time to play? But sometimes we get tunnel vision and we're just
We
like,
always, yeah, always get tunnel vision.
we get tunnel vision and we're just looking at it like that. So now you and I, so this I want to stay here because this is hilarious. So we both went and played college football. I went to Oregon and you went to Hastings.
Yeah.
And so you balled there. after Hastings, you had a good career at Hastings, still did your thing, played with some really good players. After that, you still went and played football after that. And I remember
Yeah.
talking about stories of you playing football after that. So you played some arena football and you took some hits. You took some hits from people and you took some hits from the wall. At what point for you were you like, I love football, but it's time for me to get out of this?
To be honest, the moment I knew that that wasn't for me, like first practice. Even though I pushed through, you keep going, right?
Yeah.
But first practice, when you getting flipped over the wall or crashed into the wall, field is smaller, dudes is roiding up in the locker room. Like you don't get, there ain't no drug testing unless somebody points you out.
Mm-hmm.
Unless somebody is like really juicing, there ain't no drug testing. So when dudes is doing that, it's a different world, different ball game. So when they was doing things like that, I was like, I knew right then and there, I'm not gonna be here long. I'm not. I'm not physically. I'm not 6'5", 260, bro. I'm 5'10", 200 pounds. Stay that way. So it's like I knew then it was, like it was a different ball game, and I had to work on like what was next.
Mm-hmm. How was it? Because let's be honest, it's a different game of football too. Like you said, there's walls, the
Total
field
different.
is smaller, you can motion and run at the line against the DB, stuff like that. What was probably the biggest thing for you to adjust to with football changing in the rules in general?
I think the biggest thing, it the hardest thing I had trouble adjusting to was, I guess, the route tree, right? I think the bit, because like we came from a route tree, so we running slants, you running outs, digs, posts, you running all these, but it's certain levels. You going up to the 7 yard line, popping it and going like it was a tactician, like you're running a specific route. To where now it's like you can be creative in your routes. I can step back at the line, move a little bit, wiggle, get to where I need to get to. As long as I get there, it doesn't matter how I get there. Like you have more freedom in what you do. So it took me a second to adopt that mindset, because I was always praised on my route running. I was always praised on how I focused my craft on that, because I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't the fastest, so I had to focus on something, and I focused on my route running. Then when they said, "Oh, you got the freedom to do whatever you want," I've never spent my mind or time doing that, because it was always a specific rule. So then when they said do whatever you want, it took me a little bit to be able to get my wiggle and to do those things.
Do you think, as you watch NFL football now, college football, do you think, not going to say they adapted that from arena, but there's a lot more training stuff where you got some receivers doing some crazy stuff where it's, in essence, I sometimes hate it, dislike. I try not to use hate. I dislike it because you're looking and you're like, yo, if you have man to man coverage, it's either cover one or cover zero. You ain't got time
Yeah.
to go in, come out, go back in, and go. But do you see some similarities in how they're running routes now? Like,
Oh yeah, I think it's all the same now. I think it's all the same now. From Canada to the USFL to, I think all the routes are kind of the same. You get to kind of adapt. If they tell you to do a drag and it needs to be, they even give you a window, right? I need you to do this drag route. It needs to be from 13 yards. Like, so I can do whatever I need to do to get over. Like, they give you wiggle in what you do. When I was coming up, it's this drag route better be at the 15-yard line or you getting sent to the bench. Like, that's just it. Like, if you ain't on that yard line, how you supposed to be? If you ain't running this comeback and breaking down right at 15 yards,
mhm.
I'm gonna see you on the bench. So it was like, now it's like, you got wiggle, and it, like you said, it irritates you sometimes. And it got to be tough to be a DB,
Oh, definitely.
because before you backpedaling, you can kind of see what I'm doing to kind of mirror it and that type of thing. Now people just, they break dancing at the line, and then and then going, like, it's tough.
It's pretty much like an and one mixtape now. You're like, all right,
Exactly, you do whatever you want.
you're like, yeah, you're already DBs have always been at a disadvantage, but now you want to take that and put that in there. Like, Because let's be honest, some of the best athletes on the field are the wide receivers. The outside linebackers are getting there because they just so big and can do so much. So as we talk about that now, we just talking about football in general. We love football, college, NFL. You and I are both Packers fans, so go Pack go all day.
Yeah.
How you feel about this year, man? Or this past season?
I knew we wasn't gonna go that far, right? Offensively, love is the whole, the up and downness gotta. I'm hoping it just kind of fades away. He gets more consistent. At the defense, I was happy with. We finally were consistently good. We was always like a top 10 defense all year long.
Yep.
So as long as that keeps moving up, like we get us another pass rusher, um, or that dude Edrin on the edge gets a little bit better. Like he continues because he was just a rookie this year.
Yeah.
So as long as he continues to get better and the defense grows, like offensively, I think we still, as much as we have that cohesive, everybody's growing together receiver room, we miss that dog. We miss that Devontae. We miss that Julio. We miss that dude that's like, everybody else injured. It don't matter. Throw me the ball.
Yeah.
We miss that.
Do you think that's what Christian Watkins is supposed to be?
No, I don't. Listen,
Well,
honestly,
better yet, do you think that's why they got him? That's what the allure was when they drafted him a couple years ago.
maybe but I always viewed him like a Deshaun Jackson. Like I
Yeah.
always just viewed him as a take the top off. We need a deep threat. Like we got guys that can get in the middle and run routes, but then we got this dude here. Like if you are not paying attention, we'll take the top off the defense. That's what it seemed like they got him for. But the dude ain't never healthy. Like he's never played a full season, not one time.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think he's played a half a season. Like
Yeah.
he's always hurt, which is like that's a problem. Like, and then I know like being on that end, like you're not gonna get your money, man. Like without taking care. So I don't know if it's like I never been on that end, right? Like you've been in that arena, so I don't know if it's like more of people, whether it's not paying attention to these guys who are always healthy
Mm-hmm.
and they have a certain regimen and just going over there and be like, yo, like what do you do for your body or what training do you do outside? Who do you use? Let me hop on this with you because it's an ego thing, or they just using their same coaches from high school or college or whatever it may be. But it's like if I was like in the NBA, if I'm looking at myself and I want a long career, I'm gonna look over at LeBron and be like, yo, what does this dude do to be able to have this longevity to always be healthy for this many years? And I'm gonna do that. But there's a lot of people that I don't know, either they don't do it or just, maybe it's genetics or maybe it's just bad luck.
Yeah. I feel that 100%, man. I feel when I look at that, and it's funny because the thing when I explain to people the difference in the levels, I'm like, man, you got not calling him lazy, but you got lazy people at every level. You got people that are coming in doing the bare minimum. You got complainers. You got the hard workers. You got people that are trying to be in the Hall of Fame. And the biggest jump, like I was talking to somebody about this the other day, like, oh, I was watching Nick Saban on the pivot. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched a small snippet, and they was talking about Derrick Henry. And he was like, yeah, Derrick Henry couldn't pick up a blitz and pass rush I thought he wasn't going to play for us. Like, and Derrick Henry had said something to him to the level of like, coach, you gotta work with me. Like, they just used to hand me the ball in high school and that's it. Like, they weren't teaching me to pass block. They weren't teaching me like X's and O's and all that kind of stuff. So, like, the level of football you come from, there's some people that come from just, we got 5-10 plays. We come from the Harold Pounder offense or something. We got 5-10 plays, and this is what
Oh,
we and this is what we do, or it's just, hey, yo, whatever we got to do. Okay, put him out at wide receiver. All right, put him at tight end. Put him at quarterback. Put him at running back. But when it comes to somebody who's always injured, it's tough to really pinpoint it. There's and from what I know, it's a lot of soft tissue stuff, a lot of hamstring stuff for the most part. And you got to remember, like, they're all competing. Like, if you ask me, if I'm the type of person, if you ask me for some help, or if you ask me to follow me and to look at my regimen, I'm like, yeah, get here this time, come here this time, I'll show you, take you through all I do. There's some other people, they might, you know what I mean? You got a spot that they want. So if you injured and if you on the shelf, Cool, that's good for me. That's better for me. I can ball out. So it's really tough to say, but I know he came from a lower division school, and
Hmm.
sometimes, sometimes when you what round you get drafted or where you get drafted goes your head a little bit. So it's already been shown that like, hey, you're the guy we want in there playing and starting, and you're the one we're trying to get the ball to. So in your mind, you're like, well, I'm the guy. So, regardless of what happens to me, or unfortunately if I'm out of the lineup, whenever I get back healthy, I'm back in there. And I just think we don't. I think a lot of players and people, we don't care about our body as much as we should. I
Yeah.
think the LeBron Jameses of the world, the people that want to play this game for a long time. I think sometimes there are people that they're not really even looking 5, 10, 15 years down the road. They're barely even looking to at the end of this season. And granted, you take guys who are the best athletes from since whatever age, let's say age 6 or age 8, and they've always been the best athlete, or they've always gotten by off of what they've done.
Yep.
Unless they're really trying to be a professional, they're really not going to change.
Yeah, they're gonna take that same mentality
Yeah.
in there with them. So it makes sense. Because I mean, like for me, I was injury prone in high school.
Hmm.
Like I was pulling and tearing hamstrings left and right. And then I got to college, freshman year, I played like 6 games, hamstring injury. Sophomore year, I played like 7 games, hamstring. Like it just so then I had to go back and I was like, yo, why am I the only one? Like one of the main ones just always doing it. Like, of course I'm out here running all the time and doing everything, but like what am I doing? It took me to come sit down with a trainer and Coach Balani back here, who he used to coach for Mullen. I think now
Okay.
he's at Creek. Like for him to sit down and be like, yo, like all that sugar in your diet is what's getting you. Like what you feed your body, what you're doing, because we was athletes, right? So we could eat whatever we want, however we want it. Me, I used to kill some Sour Patch Kids. I just be eating a whole bag, just be all the time. Like so, I put those down junior year. Like I put all of that aside. Whole year healthy. Senior year, whole year healthy. Like it took me a while to learn those things, but I was like, once I'm able to understand or have that vision, like I'm going in for it. That's why some people I'll be looking at, be like, you got to look at what you're doing, and something got to change. Like, or you gonna be on the couch right next to me soon, like, because people ain't gonna keep taking chances on you and trying to give you money if you ain't out there available.
That's one big thing you said. You said you were self-aware pretty much. Like
Yep.
you look back on your career and you're like, "Yo, I'm always been hurt. You suck." I was gonna say suck. You, I gotta figure out how to replace the word. You, I can't even think of the word. You looked for a person. You found. Damn, what am I trying to say?
Searched,
Yeah, search. But I'm like, what's the present past tense or something? It was like seeked.
seeked.
Like you sucked. Like what? you you went and found somebody, or you searched for somebody that could help you, and not only did they tell you what you can do, you applied it. Like,
Yep.
which I feel like a lot of people, they'll figure out what's wrong, or they'll have somebody tell them what's wrong, and they'll be like, oh, okay, man, he don't know what you're talking about, man. Let me I know more than I know more than he know. Let me try to figure it out. But on the back end of that, you wanted a healthy season. Like, and when you got that as a byproduct of what you did, for you, that was the icing on the cake where you're like, all right, now I know the formula.
Yeah. And and that's why I was like, I wish I would have knew like what I know now. I wish I knew back then. That whole adage. The thing I like about that is like, at least not for me, right? But for my kids. So what I know now, I can give it to them so they know it now too. You know what I'm saying? So that way they take care of their bodies. They do what they need to do, but they also focus and they understand like I need to sacrifice for team, sacrifice for myself, but there's limits and understanding, that there's limits to what I need to do, what I need to sacrifice, how I need to go about business and understand like everything we get, we work for. Period.
Yeah,
So
I love that, man. A coach and a dad, man. How do you this is going there? How do you separate being a coach and a dad? Because you're a coach by just trade. Like, well, let's be honest. If we played, like, there's there's stuff we know that we try to instill in them. You've also coached them in what they do. How do
Yep.
you separate the two, or is there a separation of the two?
So I stepped back because I was coaching a competitive basketball team and I was doing that stuff. And then I stepped back and I do it now to where it's like for me I couldn't separate it. So like in order to separate it, I refuse to coach my kids. I don't coach them. Like so I just want to be dad in the stands. I just want to cheer them on, hoop and hollering, cussing you out because you ain't going hard or clapping it up because you're doing great, whether whatever it may be, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to be in the stands doing that. So that's why I step back. But I turn into coach when we're outside in the weekdays or we on the field and we grinding and they understand like when we step on here, all these jokes and slipping around and playing, we done with all that. We focus, we get to business, and that's when I'm blowing the whistle and we going after it. So then that way it's not always like intense. Sometimes, when we're here training, it's intense. But like when you need to talk after the game, during the game, or before the game, you get that whole mindset that it's, you know, dad has that love where you can sit down and talk to him. It's not just always you need to do this. I want to be able to separate that and to be able to be dad, to be able to be like, yo, all right, you did great, you did good. I mean, nobody's perfect. Sometimes we mess up, sometimes we have a great game, sometimes we don't. But you know what I'm saying? To be able to just hug you when you need to be hugged and slap you in the back of the head when you need to be slapped in the back of the head, you be able to separate the two. I wanted to be able to do that. And the only way I found out that I could do that is to separate it, to be like, yo, I'm not gonna coach my kids anymore.
Mm.
It's just gonna be I'm gonna be dad when it comes to game days. But when we are here training and doing our own thing, we're gonna get after it.
Man, I love to hear that. That's a big step, and that's a big thing that you notice is you're like, yo, I can't separate the two, so I need to withdraw myself from being their coach. And I know you look around other people now and you got them being like, I'm the only person that's going to coach my kid or,
Oh,
my kid.
absolutely.
And you're like, so hold on, wait, you think you're the best person absolutely to coach them? Okay, like it's understandable in certain situations, but then there's also like, all right, what happens when your kid, you get a team and your kid's not the best kid to be quarterback or receiver or point guard? Like, are you
Hmm.
the coach then or are you the dad then? And that's when it's tough to kind of differentiate the two. But I like what you said. You said when we go to work and we step on this field and we step between these lines, all that playing games, that stuff shuts down and it's time
That's
to get
that's
to the
over
field.
there. you keep that over there. Over here, we getting after it.
Awesome.
That's
All right, we'll fall in. So it was one. I know we talked about Jordan Love's contract a while ago, and I know you was a non-believer, and you were like, "Man, I don't want to have to pay him this money. I don't think he worth all that much." Are you worried
oh yeah.
with him moving forward?
Oh yeah. Like I'm telling you how Jurassic. It's not that like he don't have talent. Like you can see he got talent, right? It's just like it's inconsistent though.
Yeah.
It's like when that man has to. I guess you got to know your players, right? So if we have this amazing O line where this dude got all day in the pocket, I believe he will shred everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like when he is pressure and he's moving around in that pocket a little bit, like he get to thinking real quick and things start to change. That's why you be seeing him sometimes where it's like, man, he just threw 3 touchdowns. And then the second half he threw 3 picks. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
This man is a complete mixture of Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Like so it's like what is going down? Like you see him just moving too fast, or you'll look at a pass and you'll be like, why did you throw this ball? There's 5 defenders around one guy and you just decided to throw it to him. So it's like it's those things that you're like, even as like a player or a coach, or you're looking at like even as a player, you look at it like, bro, why are you throwing this ball?
Yeah.
Like, dump it off to Josh Jacobs, who's wide open right here, and let him get the first down. Like, why are we doing dumb rookie mistakes when this is like year 6?
Yeah.
Like, so like that worries me. Like, like simple mistakes, like that worries me. I hope he can turn around. Like I got let me say I got faith. I'm gonna let somebody prove it, but
Yeah.
I hope he could turn around.
The funniest thing, that's the best backhanded compliment I've ever heard. You said, well, he's Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Oh my gosh. Uh, I was like, dang, your franchise is doing something right when over the past, let's say, is it 30 years now? 30 years, you're on your third quarterback. Like
Yeah.
that's
That,
like teams can't figure out how to do that. So even though you said like he's in his 6th year, sat behind Aaron for a couple years, so he's really in year 2, going on year 3, pretty
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And it's just tough. I was explaining to a lot of people, I'm like, that's this what the QB market is now. Like if you have an average QB, or if you have somebody that you're like, this is our guy, you got to pay him. Like if you don't pay him, then there's no way to come out on the other side at all. Like not no way, but like the quarterbacks are getting it in right now. So with watching Jay Love this year, one of the things I think hurt, like you talked about receivers and not having a guy. I think I read somewhere that the Packers have the smallest wide receiver core in the league, or one of the smallest ones.
Yeah, we
With
got the youngest too.
and that also, like you said, when you was over here talking about Christian Watson looking for that mentor, there's nobody in that room that's been in the league like that to be
To
the
be his
mentor.
mentor. You don't have
Yeah,
the mentor. He is the mentor, I believe. You know, he was the one drafted higher than all the rest of them.
yeah. And so
So
that adds a little salt into it. But I think it's funny. I was watching games this year, and they go as Jay Love goes, but there's sometimes he throw for 300, 350, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, but he's thrown a lot more interceptions this year. And I think there's something where you get more film on a guy. Like first year, people are trying to figure out your tendencies. People are trying to figure out where you like to throw,
yeah,
where's your spot on the field, what plays do they like that caters to your arm, and then from that they can kind of deduce a little bit more. So I think that's what you're seeing that fall off with. I think you see that with C.J. Stroud in Houston a little bit too.
yeah,
He regressed this year. Granted, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell got hurt, but his season was very different than it was last year. And then also the Packers, our offensive line hasn't been good for a couple, like hasn't been
no,
like where it's been like 3-4 years ago. They've really taken a hit with Bakhtiari gone and some other guys. I don't want to dog all my big guys out like that, but center Runyon, Runyon and like guys like that.
Runyon
Runyon's
and yeah,
gone,
it
right?
was like Josh Myers and
Yeah.
Runyon and they yeah.
So, but that's what happens when you like. That's why I like football though, because you got to retool. Like somebody's going to leave for free agency, or y'all just had a run with these guys for X amount of years. Like stuff is going to change. And that's why sports is so good. So, as that, I'm going to segue into this because we talk about sports being so good. We have a rematch of a Super Bowl from 2 years ago with the Kansas City Chiefs going for their three-peat and the Philadelphia Eagles looking for revenge. So, as we get into this Super Bowl, was it 59? It's funny because there's some
Hmm.
there's some young people that don't know Roman numerals. So that's 59 right there. When you put the I in front of the X, it's pretty much like -1 -10. So if you
Yeah,
had the V in front of that, the I in front of the V, that would be 4.
yeah.
So this quick lesson right there. Uh, what are your first thoughts on the Super Bowl? Super Bowl coming up on Sunday.
I think it'll be like lower scoring, not super low, but maybe like 28-24 kind of game
Okay.
because both of these defenses are really good.
Hmm.
Uh, Seeing like the Chiefs do something like I love Andy Reid as a coach. Like he's a great coach. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't hate on Andy Reid. Like he's
Yeah.
just that dude's a good coach. So seeing him to be like the first three-peat, that would be cool. But everybody's starting to get tired of the Chiefs, hating on the Chiefs, whatever. The Eagles for me, like I'm a Saquon fan, Penn State fan. So he came over here. I'm a big Saquon fan. So, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the arrogance. It seems like that comes from Philly
Hmm.
or confidence. Not even arrogance. Let me call it
Okay.
confidence. That level of confidence that I hope translates because sometimes like so for like the Chiefs, when you struggle every game, right? People say you look at it as a good thing because you learn how to fight through the hard times and adversity and still win.
Hmm.
But sometimes that's called like you playing at your worst all the time and looking out until you face somebody like this.
Yeah.
That's going to be like, all the little luck that you had blocking the field goal to win the game and those type of things, it's not going to happen here, you know? And then vice versa, when you have things on the sideline, with your boys reading books because he's mad he ain't getting passes and, bored on the sideline, when you got that kind of toxicity, if you come out in that game down 14-0, that whole locker room's going to implode.
Mm-hmm.
Or you come out and you up 14-0, that whole locker room's going crazy. So it's like you got two kind of like volatile situations, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
That I think is going to make for a good game.
Yeah. I think for the last game of the year, that's all we want is a good game. Like,
yeah.
There's some people that got some money out there, got some skin in the game or whatever, but like real football people, just don't let this be a Denver Broncos versus Seattle Seahawks way back in 2000.
I don't want no blowout, no bummy ass game, no blowout.
Like keep us by the TV. It's funny. I disagree with you. I will say this. I like the Chiefs because they know how to win. The thing I will say, and the way I put it, and I changed it. I used to say they play up and down the competition. They play to their competition. I would say that. So if you come out here and you're like, y'all, we got to score 40 to win today, they can and they will do that. If you say this is going to be a defensive battle and your defense got to get the dub at the end of the day, they will do that. If you got to give the ball to Patrick Mahomes for a last drive where you need 3 or 7 or 6 or whatever it might be, they lock in. And it's weird, but I respect it because it's like you get everybody's, you're the defending 2-time champions. You get everybody's best shot. And the only 2 games they lost this year, they lost to Buffalo by 9, and then they lost to the Broncos the end of the year where they didn't play any of their starters. So we don't really count that.
That game don't count.
But the thing about I like what you said. Both defenses are good. Philadelphia's, I think, has second-ranked defense when it comes to points allowed, and KC has a 4th. But what's really interesting is that KC has changed the narrative about their team over the last 5 or 6 years. Like, it used to be their offense was like, man, we got to put up 50. We got to go score because they're not going to stop nobody. And now you got the defense out there. Like that last play they made against Josh Allen on that corner blitz to end the game.
Oh, yeah.
To ice the game for them. Like, they got players on defense. They got Chris Jones is one of my favorite players to watch just because I know he's going to do some things. So I think I agree with you. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be in that 27-24 or 25-22 somehow type score. I was looking up stats from the last time they played, and not that I forgot, Philly had the ball for 35 minutes, and Kansas City had the ball for like around 25 or 24 and some change. And like everything was going good up until Jalen Hurts fumbled that ball and Nick Bolton ran back for a touchdown. So which lets you know Kansas City is like always around there lurking. They're always doing something. So in this game, what do you like? What do you like about the Chiefs? Like, if they're going to win the game, how are they going to win this game?
Their defense is going to make a play when they need it. Like, and that's the thing that's what they've done all year long. Like, even with that first Broncos game, when they, for all intents and purposes, they lost that game. Right? All you got to do is tap this field goal right here, and it's not even a far field goal. You know what I'm saying? Tap this field goal. And the one thing you can't let happen is let them block it. And what they do, they blocked it. Like, they always seem a 4th down play, 3rd down play, whatever they need. Like you said, they lock in at that moment in time, and everybody stops the bullshit, and we're going to go ahead and get what we got to get. Like, it's cool. It's like when you walk in and you yell at your class and everybody finally buttons up and then everything gets done. It's like, they lock in, and I think that's what's going to do for them to win. It's going to be that defensive play that no one has stopped the tush push. It's going to be them stopping the tush push on some kind of 4th down or some kind of touchdown play, and they ice the game. They ice the game that way. That's what I think it's going to be.
I like that. I feel you on that. It's funny. I think the only, as we're talking about the Chiefs, I'm not going to say I think the only way you can win is if you're Philadelphia, but one of the best ways to solidify that you win is to make sure Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the ball last. Like,
yes. Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna answer the question without answering the question, but it's like when Patrick Mahomes got the ball the last game, I was like, they're not about to give it back. Like
Exactly. He gonna win the game. He
I
about to win the game.
I said they'd be like, how much time left? 7. They got 2 timeouts. Oh yeah, okay, for sure. Like Andy Reid, and
7 minute drill.
you spoke to it earlier, man. Andy Reid, like he's a wizard. I'm glad we're being able to see him. I'm glad that since he's left Philadelphia or got fired, left would be he left on his own volition. Since he got fired and found a new home in Kansas City and drafted Patrick Mahomes, like he's had everything he's wanted. Like he's created a dynasty over there, and he's one of the best football minds offensively that you can pick out in the game. And he also has the cheat code in Patrick Mahomes back there calling the plays. I was looking at Mahomes, and he's played. This will be his 4th Super Bowl, 4th or 5th. 4th
Yeah.
is one. This will be 3 straight, but he's okay. So he's going for 4. Um, yeah, going for 3 straight. He has 4, so he's going for damn. I can't even fathom it. He has 3. All right. Anyway, um, he always throws he's thrown an interception in 3 out of the 4 Super Bowls he's played in. So he plays okay,
Yeah.
but he always the thing that with Mahomes, man, he just kill you with his legs at the weirdest times.
Dude. And he looks so unathletic. Right.
And
Every time I see him run for a first down, I'm yelling. I'm looking at the screen like, bro, like, look, you got this little. He looks like a 7th grade boy running down there. I'm like, why are you letting this man run for this first down right now?
I'll be like, hit him, and can't nobody get. First of all, can't nobody get a hand on him, and then when you kind of want to hit him, he right there by the sideline, so you know somebody flag about to come out. You know.
I know he be throwing his. Patrick Mahomes be throwing his own flags.
Oh yeah, he looked right back at the ref. That's come okay, it's cool. It's
He pulled it right out the hip pocket. And he be like, yeah, he hit me too hard.
So on the topic of the Chiefs, do you think you've watched probably them as much as I have? Do you think they get favorable calls, like very very favorable calls?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Of course they do. I mean, and that goes with the game, right? Like you just got to get over it. It's like they're gonna get these calls. You talked about it in the meeting rooms. You talked about it all week long. Get over it, like, and don't make the dumb mistake. The dumb plays. Like, don't touch him when he by the sideline because you're gonna call.
Yeah.
Even though you want to get a little shot in on him, you want to give him a little bit of medicine. Just the calls is coming, so you got to be mentally prepared to be like, hear the chirping and hold yourself back because they're just trying to talk you into these calls anyway. And yeah, because I mean, we had Aaron Rodgers. We got all kind of favorable calls. Aaron Rodgers, somebody touch his chin strap. We getting a, you know what I'm saying? And I hear people yelling about it. Look what he did. Look what he did. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, that's not a penalty, but I'll take it,
Yeah.
You do that. Tom Brady. I mean, they invented most of the quarterback rules is invented from that one man. Like,
yep.
So yeah, them special ones always get the calls and it. So it's nothing to complain about. Like, you just know it's there.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so move it on, man. So we talked about the Chiefs, but what do you like about the Eagles?
I think Saquon changed the whole game. I think their O-line is massive and really good, and then you get to see how good they actually are with a great running back. Insert a great running back, the dude is running crazy, running all over the place, right? So now you have to be mindful of that run game. You got to pay attention to that run game. So you need to bring that safety up. We can't be sitting in this too high shell worried about AJ Brown all day because you got Saquon that's about to just get loose on you. So they're gonna have to shuffle that in and change it. And I think the Eagles are gonna have to use Saquon. And sometimes it'll be in a screen game or having him run some routes instead of just always thinking we got to put him in the eye or in the shotgun and just run the ball. But I think they also have one of the best, if not the best, receiving corps.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need to use them. Like you got 2 dudes that are number 1 receivers. 2 dudes that are number 1 receivers. And like me, if I'm an offensive coordinator, whoever the number 2 corner is, wherever he's guarding is getting the ball. So if I got the number 1, 2 on AJ Brown, he's eating. And then when you switch them corners up, Okay, now I'm going over here to Smith. Smith about to eat. Like, so I'm
Yeah,
like, because you got a crazy like specialist group, two alpha receivers and the best running back in the game right now. So offensively, you got no excuses. You got to just ball.
you would think, you would think. I was looking at their stats for this year. It's kind of crazy. Like the Chiefs has been not sneaking by, but like the Chiefs have been patchwork, just getting through what they've been doing this whole year. They don't have a 1,000 yard rusher. They've been dealing with injuries with Pacheco and everything. They don't have a 1,000 yard receiver. The closest one I think is Travis Kelsey with like 600 or 800. I want to say, but outside of that, Eagles have pretty much they have 1,000 yard receiver. I think Devontae Smith has I think not 800 or 900 something yards, and AJ Brown has 1,000. Then they have a 2,000 yard rusher. Jalen Hurts stats are down this year because you have a 2,000 yard rusher. Like, why are we doing all this? We need to hand off to him. Jalen Hurts been hurt.
Yeah,
Get him out the way. Like you said, I like Philly because they can run the ball. Man, their offensive line is so massive. They protect Jalen Hurts really well. They open up holes. They get in the way. Like, ain't no way. Like they really just like with Kelsey gone. Like they were pretty formidable before, but they haven't. There's been no drop off with them and what they've been doing.
no, there's no drop off in that line at all.
Yeah, I think they need to get up. They need to get up on Casey early, kind of like they did a couple years ago. And then outside of that, but you can't take your foot off the pedal though. Like, but if they get up early, they can still continue to control the clock, which is the biggest thing in the game like this. But you just know the Chiefs won't go away. So I think if it's close, like I'm kind of like grimacing a little bit just because I know what that boy on the other sideline can do. But if they
Yeah,
control the game and if Saquon has 125 rushing, I think the Eagles can win, and that's what I like about them. You didn't say you said arrogance at first, and you took it back, and you said confidence.
confidence.
I believe in that same confidence, man. I feel like they want this test and they want this game because they're like, this is the biggest stage, and we've been playing and talking about this all year, and we're ready.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And I wholeheartedly believe like what you said earlier is going to happen is if Patrick Mahomes has the ball last, the Chiefs win.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's literally like if we if it's one if there's 2 minutes in the under like left and that man got the ball, it's a wrap. Like I'm that the Chiefs gonna be a three-peat. So it's like they need to play what they need to play inside the lines up into this fourth quarter. And in this fourth quarter, you need to use Saquon exactly for what he's for, and that's to put the game away. So if y'all need to get these first downs by whether it's running with Jalen or running with Saquon, get the first down to keep the clock moving. Like because giving the ball back, you lose.
And Philly gonna be going for it on a probably a handful of fourths. Like
Oh,
that's also how the game has changed, man. Like you got guys in the first quarter, they like, what is it, 4th and 2? We going for it. 4th and 3,
yep,
we going like they are like they put their chin up or they put their nose up at field goals these days. They're like, we know we're gonna have to score to beat them. Like, let's start right now. And you saw that with Detroit, you saw that with the Commanders, you see that with
yep.
Philly, you see that with KC even now. So I think it's funny because we just remember back in the day, bro, you was only going for it on like
You,
you might
you
go
got three
for it on
downs,
like you might go for it on like 4th and inches, like here and there,
maybe.
but like now you got guys that are like, where we at the 40? All right, let's go. Like analytics
Yep.
say, and they go for it. Uh, and so I thought that was so we're gonna see a great game, man. And as we go to it, then so we talked about both teams. We talked about the Super Bowl. Who you got?
Man, I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs. Like until they lose, like as much as I want the Eagles to win, until you prove it, until they lose in that game right there.
Mm,
Nah, I can't go against them, especially when Andy Reid's dialing up the plays and you got Patrick Mahomes as quarterback, like and their defense has been balling. So when you got Chris Jones just wrecking shot by himself, like
yeah.
I'd say they're gonna go with it again.
Mm. Man, it's funny. I'm leaning towards KC. It's funny because if I'm putting money on it, I gotta put the money with KC. Like
Yes,
I'm fine.
exactly.
I'm fine winning money with KC. I'm fine losing money with KC. You like they've been on fire. Everything they've done up to this point, like they've done nothing but win. So why would you go against the champs? I would go with that. And then I would also, the other one is just score prediction, which you said earlier. You said like 20, 27, 24, or 20.
Yeah, 27-24, somewhere in that realm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I stick with mine too. So I say we got the same. Let's say 27-24 for both sides. Um, it should be a good game. Like we said before, man. We just want a good game. What do y'all got going for the game?
We just chilling at the house. I didn't. I took the day off, so I make sure I'm at home too. I don't want to. I don't want to be going to work, going to do nothing. So I'll be at the house. We're gonna be eating some wings and pizza, chilling with the feet up, watching the game.
Uh-huh. Are you still interested in the Super Bowl commercials? Like, were you ever was that like, oh, I can't wait to see it. I know like they release early now, you don't really, but like as
They
of
used to be my favorite. That used to be one of the things I did with my dad all the time. Like one of the things we look forward to was the
yeah.
commercials. But the last couple years they've been so sorry. So it's like, I mean, like the last 3 years they ain't been really good at all. So now I just look forward to the game.
It's so funny because I want to I'll do a study at one point, but just the Super Bowl commercials, they were up to, I want to say, a couple $1 million for Super Bowl commercial slots at everything at one point. And then there was this kind of shift. I don't want to say it was around COVID. Might have been before that, with, companies like showing you a snippet of the commercial that's going to come on, or you got to go here to watch the Super Bowl commercial, or all these things where you gotta scan the QR code. Where I don't know what you about to do with my phone. Um, like all those things. It's funny because that used to be like outside of like the Super Bowl halftime show. You used to look forward to the commercials because you was like you knew you probably couldn't even go to the bathroom because you missed
Yep.
something. Like, but I also feel like they abuse like the celebrity cameo stuff. Like
Oh, absolutely.
you every commercial now you were like, all right, why do I need to see this dude that's in movies and TV shows, or this influencer, like now, like show me some regular people that used to be in commercials.
No, they don't got no regular people. It's all these influencers on here now, actors on here now. It's yeah, you're right about that. They have used and abused that. That's why you don't look forward to it. It's like the same old saying.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I appreciate you, man. Once again, that's my boy, my dog, one of my best friends, Justin Anderson, tapping in just to talk about the Super Bowl, talk a little bit about his life, talk about his kids, his family, his beautiful wife that he has. Um, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Who y'all got in the Super Bowl? Let me know in the chat. But outside of that, man, Justin, anything else you got to say before we out this thing?
No, man, appreciate you having me on, man. It was good talking to you.
All love, man. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. And like that, we gone.